AITA for not changing the name my grandfather gave me after my family found out the truth behind it? Hello everyone, going to try and keep this concise and to the info I believe to be relevant. Apologies if it feels all over the place. A bit of backstory: my 27F maternal grandfather was not faithful to my grandmother, his legal wife, but she stayed because that's what women in her era and culture did. Some of her children, my mother's siblings, weren't as forgiving. My mother is the only one who maintained a relationship with her father, as she would say to her siblings, if mom can stay with him, why should she be deprived of a relationship with her father? Although, their relationship was a bit strained tbh. My dad and grandfather had a great relationship as they worked in the same field my grandfather was so successful in, and my father is effectively an orphan, so kinda had a yearning for a parental connection. My father is also the only son-in-law to ask my grandfather for one of his daughter's hands in marriage. My mom's sisters felt his approval wasn't needed with his life choices in regard to marriage. Essentially, there's a lot of strain and drama on my maternal side of the family, all due to choices my grandfather made. Although, towards the end of his life, he did change. Some say it's because he retired and wasn't the big man around town anymore, who knows. My siblings and I had a wonderful relationship with our grandfather. He was essentially a second father as my dad's career picked up. My siblings and I don't have another grandfather on the other side, so he was so intentional with us and my father welcomed and encouraged it. This led to my dad letting my grandfather name me. To explain, it is tradition in our culture for the husband's parents to name a couple's firstborn. I am my parents' firstborn. And being as my father has no parents, he let his FIL take the honor. An honor my grandfather felt robbed of as my uncle didn't follow this tradition when he had his first child. And as the story goes, this also led to my grandfather giving a speech at my father's 30th birthday party, 2 months after I was born, that he was the son he never had. My grandfather gave me a very English name, not expected for our culture. Don't want to say it as it's not common today at all, but an old movie star also shares this name, and for the longest time that's where we all figured he got the inspiration from. Now, to recent events. My grandfather died about 2 months ago. It's been so hard, even typing this has caused me to cry. He and I had such a special relationship, and I will always carry him with me. In a sense, I feel like I lost a father, even though mine's is still alive. I'm a bit of a gray sheep in the family, and he's the only one who understood me. My mom always said I had his fire, and I believe it caused the strain in my relationship with her. He hasn't been buried yet as is customary for our culture, but his will was read. The whole family found out that I am named after a British woman he had an affair with a lifetime ago when he worked in France. The woman tragically passed away the same month I was born. This is something I was already aware of as he told me this in confidence. He said it was hard for him to mourn a woman he loved in secret and wanted in some weird way to just be able to say her name out loud, so he named me after her. In a weird way, this made me love my name even more. In the will he left something for her only daughter also named after her. The daughter isn't his child though. So far, no unknown kids have come out of the woodwork, fingers crossed, but she has no father, and apparently my grandfather funded her education, wedding, and helped towards down payment on a house. My family, as you can imagine, is in uproar. This only confirmed to my aunts and uncle that their dad was a garbage person and my mother was a fool for trusting him. My mother feels betrayed for trusting him with something as special as the name of her child. My grandmother. I don't know, she left the reading after this bombshell. I have spoken to her or seen her, I'm too scared to. She's always been a bit cold to me, and after I learned the truth about my name, I've wondered if she always knew. I didn't let slip to anyone that I knew, I feigned shock with the rest of them. Now, my dilemma: everyone except for my dad wants me to change my name, and I have been uninvited from the funeral until I agree to do so. I was supposed to read his eulogy. I feel like they're muddying my grief process. I haven't spoken to or seen my grandmother, but I've been made to understand that this comes from her. The last convo with my mother ended in a screaming match, and she says she only has 3 children until I fix this. Even my siblings and cousins are pressuring me to give in, say why would I want the name anymore after learning the truth. I feel like the name is my real inheritance from him. All of his money and properties etc. that they're all about to fight over doesn't compare to the name Imo. AITA? Am I jaded by my love and relationship with him and can't see that this is messed up? Please let me know. Should I change my name? I know I'll be hard for my mom and grandma to call me it again after learning the truth, but why should I be punished for his actions? This is my name, my identity, and part of that is rooted in him. And in your responses, please do be kind to him. He was a flawed man, but the most perfect grandfather any child could have ever wished for. Edit. Someone asked this question and I realized that the way I explained it inferred something that did not happen. No, my grandfather did not put the details in the will. Attached to the will for the family and friends was a separate document, like another will that made provisions for 5 people whom were not known to the family. I do not believe this was intended to be read to the family, so the lawyer effed up on that. He read it first before the main will, and everything went downhill. We didn't even get to the main will. This happened about 2 weeks ago though, and I'm told that the reading was done after that day and I'm supposed to schedule something with the lawyer separately. So, to clarify, the details of the woman and what she meant to my grandfather were not written in the will to be read to the family or this separate document. What happened was, this document was read first and my name was called, listed as the 4th person on the list of people we've never heard about. Of course, we were all confused. The lawyer had to clarify it was someone else. Everyone questioned deeper of course because of Grandpa's history, and the lawyer said that the woman's mother was just Grandpa's ex-co-worker from his time in France that he kept in contact with. Again, everyone got to the right conclusion on their own very quickly because of his history. Everyone pressed further. Was the girl a half-sibling? Who is she? Where is she? Why wasn't she there? What was her relationship with him? The lawyer explained that Grandpa really didn't have much of a relationship with her, just her aunt who raised her, who was an unmarried, childless school teacher, and helped the aunt financially care for the girl. The woman doesn't seem to know anything about my grandfather and only met him once when he attended her wedding at the invitation of the aunt. The deeper things I posted were what I had already known from what he told me. Secondly, I find it amusing that the general assumption is that he was a trash father because he was a cheat. He wasn't. A trash husband, yes, but he was there for all of his children and they can all attest to that. He was there for every birthday, major event and milestone, family vacations, etc. And he made it a habit that when he wasn't on the road he was home for dinner every night he could manage. He cheated on my grandmother, yes, but he wasn't a trash father. That's why my mother could still maintain a relationship with him, because he wasn't a bad man, just a bad husband. And you are the morally corrupt one if you cannot understand the nuance. His children's issue with him is a tragedy that happened when he was busy with another woman and not there to help, and they couldn't get a hold of him. They all blamed him for it and haven't been able to forgive him. That's their right, but he didn't know something like that would happen and he suffered the loss with them. I can't speak more on this as my cousin has come across this post as she follows this sub. And my life has blown up a little more. Hey set all. I was initially kicked out of the main family group chat until I changed my name, and now the cousins kicked me out of that chat too because I'm spilling family tea on the internet. My mom called me to blast me again. I don't even know why I answered TBH. And this is because they now know that I knew the truth behind my name and about this woman and are suspecting I know a lot more. I don't even know what they're inferring/getting at. Maybe another bomb went off with the reading of the main will that they think I'm in on. I don't know and don't really care at this point. Lastly, I want to say, some of you are asking me to choose the side of a woman who, and I mean this very respectfully, Gigi, didn't choose herself. She was a woman without a prenup and children, who had years of evidence of infidelity. She chose to stay, for reasons that are not mine to divulge. Someone even insinuated my father was a bad person for having a relationship with his father-in-law even though he is an only child with no parents. Why should we have nailed him to the cross for issues that happened long before we came along, especially since, like I mentioned, he had changed. The last almost 20 years since his retirement he put the work in to try and remedy things. They kept giving him their ass to kiss. They picked up another person's fight and held on to their hate for decades. How are they the morally right ones? And how is Gigi not morally corrupt for not trying to help the other kids mend their relationships with their father whom she chose to stay with? Anyways, that's all for now. I have been invited to attend a family meeting tomorrow. I'll provide an update after, if I can. Marilyn.